Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us for a Digital World Town Hall. Today is August 18th, 2027, and we are joined here by an online audience from around the world, lots of different countries. And we'll have live questions at the end, and we'll start out with just a general overview of the things that have transpired this last week. And then that'll take about 30 minutes, and then any kind of Q&A. And we'll also recognize as we get started. There, people can join live. If you just go to digitalworld.earth, scroll down to the bottom, you can add it to your calendar every week. If you have questions that you'd like to ask, we're grateful for those that are here with us. Um, Consistency. This is not a support environment, but it is a membership, private membership environment that's really building out kind of the future of technology for humanity in an open standard format, so to speak. So some of the things we might talk about, maybe forward looking. We also believe that it's really important to recognize that there's a spiritual component to not only life but to the work that will really help to bring about a digital world where people can actually flourish. And I believe that we don't need to be concerned with a lot of the craziness that's going on, that technology can actually, in the end, be something that can help humanity instead of enslave us, as long as we allow it and responsibly deploy it. We also take some time at this time to not just recognize the physical world and the digital world as they're coming together, but also whether it's a moment of silence or a word of prayer, whatever denomination or belief systems that is. We really don't. This is not a political environment, and this is not a spiritual, religious type push, but we do believe that it's really important to recognize that there are three distinct elements that are at play here. Does anyone want to kick us off with a word of prayer today? If not, we can move on. Okay. We believe that there are secret combinations that are primarily using technology to centrally control folks, and not only folks, but systems and governments and voting and lots of different other industries. It then controls the monetary system. And as it grows, it literally separates humanity in many different ways. Lots of folks may be feeling this in different parts of the world, but ultimately, we believe that decentralized systems and transparency and honesty can actually help to be a part of the solution to be able to bring that to future generations where they can literally own their own identity, their own data. And not only that, but a lot of the corruption and secret combinations that have operated in the past, technology can actually help set us free. So that's a large portion of it. In the digital world, it basically breaks into layers. Currently, there's more than 10, there's actually 12 today. And they'll continue to grow over time, but they stack on each other in a very intelligent ways based upon cryptographic keys. So this is a good example of those keys. And then there's derived keys that layer on for each layer. For instance, in the last year, we've added in the communication layer, which basically allows, think about a replacement for Zoom, but it's your own. Or think of a replacement for Signal, but it's your own. Or think about how you would communicate with family members, or how you would have marketers in the future communicate with you and you actually get paid and own your own identity instead of having some third party get paid and control and sell your identity. So really beautiful ecosystem around communication. It also ties over to community. So think about LinkedIn or Facebook or X, all being on your own terms and your own data, and all the other rules that I just mentioned apply. That those derived keys are just two examples of use cases that actually tie. There's many others, um, but we'll go through those. We'll talk about the physical world, the digital worlds come together through decentralization and principles around identity and keys, and really derived keys, and you can own them. For 2026, we're focused on the individual, owning the individual under a mantra of you own you, around data storage, vaults, and artificial intelligence, or what we're calling digital intelligence, that the individual actually owns and manages. And then, yeah, there's pieces of what we'll talk about with a life summit and summit here in Utah that'll be coming about in November. And it just so happens that today we're actually coming to you from Alaska. So some beautiful stuff in Alaska. And next we'll be going to Dakota. Dakota is actually the least traveled state in the United States of America. And it also has its only bank. And it's got some very amazing amazing things that tie to assets that others don't have. And we'll talk a little about those in the coming months, but those are the advancements around how identity can really set an individual free, and how really being stewards over different resources that we've been given an opportunity to be able to be entrusted with, and how they can kind of all come together with a campaign that basically aligns all of us. So how we care about the earth, how we communicate, how we're responsible and accountable. All these different systems are basically things that have been stood up this last week, and how that basically comes to fruition for different states, namely Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Washington, maybe Oregon. We're not there yet. Then Nebraska or North Dakota, just like I'd mentioned. So how some of these different campaigns will tie to it. Makes sense today, but it sure will in the future. Also, some large things that are happening within the Middle East. Won't go through the details, but you do need to be privy to it, that it is something that is currently in the balance. And we look forward to kind of going through the details of what's next. There's a lot of details that have kind of popped through it. For those that have not been in the new interface, this is actually what it looks like. So not only is it something that is web-based, because many of you will think, well, if I'm just accessing it from a website, that's a single point of failure. That is accurate, but there's also an offline version of it as well that can actually tie to an individual based upon who they are, where they go. Maybe it's genealogy, maybe it's drilling into parts and pieces of it, and literally how that actually all ties together for future generations, and how estate planning can actually be leveraged both online and offline with these new types of systems. So if you haven't looked at the new community system, that basically is a system where you can import your Facebook or your LinkedIn or your X-based environments into an environment where you actually own your own identity and your own data. There's currently about 39 million users that are currently within this environment. This is just an example of a feed or a stream. This is based upon a decentralized profile. So it's something that I can actually prove who I am, but I don't necessarily have to disclose completely who I am. So for instance, this was dynamically created. This is actually the first 4 letters or characters of a cryptographic key, and then the last 4 letters. And it basically is, again, it's an entity that was dynamically created within this digital world that I can prove who I am, but I don't necessarily have to divulge who I am. But at the same time, you can use the same types of systems that you're used to, whether it's posting photos or history of loved ones, and storage in the data is actually tied to you as an individual. So that's just an example of there. Most of you are already familiar with some of the financial systems. There are some advancements around onboarding and offboarding and asset management within the system. I won't go through the details of those today, but everyone can basically manage their own identity. And one identity can have multiple different wallets. For this particular instance, you can have one wallet in one jurisdiction with certain laws that tie to it based upon the region, as well as others. And you can actually move it around, and how those have actually been disseminated and loaded up has changed within this last week as well. Elements of the agreement side has also changed. So how you can actually create agreements, edit agreements, assign agreements. You can have unlimited signers within an agreement now. There's different templates to kind of help you get started. And it's literally cryptographic signing, and you own your own details. But at the same time, commitments that you're making within these, or you can even write them an agreement to go on, let's say, I'll use a real weird one here, okay? Actually, I won't this crazy a number. I'll just say for 100 grand. So this will actually create an agreement, and then you can actually modify it by just simply signing one party to another party will actually cryptographically sign it. And then when you sign it, or when you scan the first time, it'll actually know to look at the particular wallet. So you can see here, this is built-in agreement. You can see that it's got a defined party A and party B. I don't know if this is if it's coming through, but aircraft purchase, loss, risk. So let's say that we like that. You can edit it in the prior in interface. You can also edit within this interface. If there's a party that actually wants to scan, we actually scan it. Go ahead and do this with a different device. So scan in person. So you'll notice that it actually saw that this member here, usually if there's more than one wallet, for what wallet, you can see that there's two different cryptographic members here. And then you can also see that there's two signing parties here. So the actual signing process and parties can actually lock this agreement down. And then digital intelligence can actually see if whatever is contractually agreed to within the agreement is done. So we can go ahead and pick a date. So start date, maybe payment due date, payment method, delivery location, grace period. So this is basically the typical terms that an agreement would have. You can see it's actually looking for serial numbers and registration numbers for the actual aircraft there. But yeah, so this is a big advancement within this environment. You can have the different parties go ahead and sign it. Party A must sign first. You can see that it's actually already done, so we'll go ahead and use this. By the way, there's an updated version of Clear Life. There's also an updated version of Utah Life and some new versions of the Life app for Idaho Life and Dakota Life that will actually be going live within the next 7 days. Just got to find this app. So check your repositories. So whether it's you're using Google or you're using Apple or you're using Clear, all of those have updated Life apps that use all of the same technology. So this actually can see that it's connected. It'll actually see, I don't remember who is paying who on this particular one, but you would be able to actually see how that works. So super valuable, super integrated. There's also some development environments that are separate from production environments as well. Let's see if I can get to this here. There's also communication built into them, if you can see this here, as well as notifications that are also built into it. So pretty good advancements. What other things can I walk you through? So some of the Idaho Life, some of the scanning, some of the technology with actually the devices. This is actually the Explorer, which has some modifications to it, but ultimately it's just reading what's happening on the actual chains and systems. When an agreement is signed, it can actually track that within the Explorer as well. So I think it's under operations now. I wish I remember. There's a specific place where it'll actually show you. I thought it was an operations area. Let me see if I can refresh this and see if it's, yeah, these raids that are going on, but the actual signing actually happens in one place. Well, if you could take a task to have Don show me where this is so that next week I can actually show our listeners, that would be greatly appreciated. And I should know this as well. So, but the actual signing process within this agreement structure is actually signed within this environment. What else has happened? We won't go through the details here, but know that it's forthcoming. Again, Utah Life on Apple or Utah Life on Google is now updated with all the latest features and functions. For those that need a reminder, there is an event, state-endorsed digital identity event in Park City, Utah, 2026 in November. This is actually November 17th through the 19th. It will be held at the Park City Resort, which is actually right on the ski slopes. I actually think you can see it right. No, it's not. You can't see it in this image. You got to go up this little lift. But anyhow, it'll be very well done. We're projecting about 300 to 350 folks. And this is actually driven primarily by the state of Utah, and grateful for all of their involvement. I don't know that it'll be as snowy as this in late November, but it might be. There has been times where it actually does look like this. So if you're able to join, please plan on it. We'll also have some elements of a life summit. Depending on the maturity and alignment with the event, more details will be coming forth on that. I do know that there's some open topics and proposed topics that we need to review as this body around the digital world decentralized chain of responsibility, which was put forward by Becca. I don't know if she's on with us now. Yeah, she is. Becca, is there anything you want to bring up on this before we move forward? I know this was brought out last month, which was July, and about a 90-day review term. If so, just let us know. This is also another proposal where potentially establishing the digital world some form of a corporation to actually engage in the finance layer. We're not sure if that's the right direction, but we do believe that something that needs to be discussed and shot holes in. We're also talking with different types of banking regulators and seeing if it's better just to stay third party to all of it as well. So digital world content policy, this is primarily ties over to what's happening here within the community system that is online. Kind of like what we just showed you. Let's see if I can get back here. Right here. So those are three topics that are outstanding. I think there was a fourth as well. What is this? Oh, Clearphone stuff. We're actually making progress on that. We missed the 2027 window, but that may be a positive thing. If you were actually on the list that was a part of that, you should have gotten a message this last week, actually about 10 days ago now. So other thoughts or comments or questions or anything that anyone might have? Any areas that you may want to bring up or things you want to question or anything you want to critique or shoot holes in? Now's a great time. Thanks for the reminder, Molly. I got that task. Well, if there's no feedback, I'm just blabbing and doing a report out. That's great. No worries. Anybody want to wrap us up with a word of prayer or a final comment? Okay. Well, welcome to August 18th, 2026. We'll go ahead and wrap up. I guess our second part of it only lasted for 3 minutes, so we won't have much to talk about, even though there's a ton to talk about that's going on around the world. But as we know, we're focused on just the technology side. Responsible and accountable at the same time free, because we can't have freedom without being responsible and accountable, right?
Hi, Michael.
Hello.
Hi, Michael. Sorry, it was really noisy in the area that
That's
I was
okay.
in.
That's no
I
worries.
did hear you
No worries.
speaking, saying my name.
We're just about ready to wrap
Ciao.
up. I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to bring up, or I know that this is something you had proposed, and we're 30 days into a 90-day review
Yeah.
period here.
That's okay. I'll just keep on it. I am going to be meeting with some people soon to speak about supply chains and other topics that are in my vicinity. So I'm just going to keep it running and see how I can connect with other engineering firms as well. I've got something happening in Mexico with an engineering crew to help with some of their gas. And yeah, I've got a bunch of people as well who are looking for solutions. So I'm kind of just drowning in people looking for solutions right now. So if I could just keep refreshing it, yeah, just to help the people in my space.
And this is primarily Australia or Europe to
Oh, this is
Mexico?
um, so this is globally. So at the moment, I've had inquiries from like Mexico. They were working on a gas station, and they were purifying some gas at one of the really old substations, and that's kind of not the area that I'm specialized in, but I have worked on those substations. But it's mainly just networking with the right people, just to see how we can connect on the communities. I'm actually just waiting for Mariano to see if he knows any local engineer firms where I can refer
Okay.
some of the people that are looking for solutions. So, yeah.
I did see him around this last week, so I know there's a lot of movement there. And I know some of the stuff within Mexico went live on the 1st. I haven't heard a lot of noise from it, but yeah. So
Yeah.
at least that was the act where if they didn't link their identity with a app on their phone, that their phone number would stop. That was proposed stopping as of the 1st of July. I don't think that they've actually imposed it yet, but I do know that there's some serious compression there. So
Is that in Mexico?
yeah, that's Mexico.
Right.
So
I'm not too sure about that.
well, any other topics anyone else wants to bring up?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, Michael, are the communications app, is that something that we can share with other people?
They have to have the Life app, I think, for private and public meetings. But yeah, it's you just download the latest and start doing it. I do know that there's 2 tasks in the development roadmap around making it simpler to find places. Wally, if you could take another task to see if we could put a calendar event together in 2 Tuesdays from now, so 14 days from today, to have Tyler have the apps ready and in training on this same meeting prior to this meeting, and we'll try and do a parallel cutover. So we'll use this system as well as that new system for it. Does that make sense?
Well, are you asking me or Wally?
Wally should be picking that up. I'm just looking for confirmation there, because
Yeah.
that's all that's really stopping us from going live with it.
Okay, and now what about the social media, part of it, the posting and the, is that like the Facebook replacement, if you will?
Yeah, that's actually that's live now. You can start using this now. It's growing every day with more content and people. The import and the export capabilities is not built into it. The Digital Choice Act within the state of Utah was actually enacted in 2024 to go in 2025, and actually enacted to go live in 2026, July 1. But it was actually pushed out by a gal. I met her at the actual state endorsed digital identity event in May. Wonderful, wonderful gal. And she was actually the one that questioned some things. And I think it's beautiful to question it and say, hey, are we really doing the right thing? And it actually pushed it out a year because of that questioning. A lot of people thought that there couldn't be a format and a standard to be able to do the import and the export from. But it's done. It's live. We had it before the date of July 1st, because that was actually our target. But they did push it out a whole nother year. So the compliance around that is going to be another year out. One of the things we're trying to do is push through legislation that it's not just the attorney general within the state of Utah or whatever state wants to adopt it. It's actually the individual. So if there's something that an individual has actually said, or let's say an individual has 100 vendors that they requested their data back, and they only got data back from 98 vendors. There's 2 vendors that they would actually be able to get a claim against. Right now, the claim amount is $2,000 per occurrence per vendor. So that would be $4,000 split between two vendors at $2,000 each. So, but I believe that there's a real opportunity there to be able to create a compelling event where the individual actually can control their data again. You're not just social data; it's everything from health to finance to memberships to anything can actually be pulled into this. So, and you'll find there's content from all over the world, different elements. I'm just going through and scrolling through some of the content that's there because a lot of people are like, you know what? I like social because I can actually stay connected. I don't want to be profiled, but I can actually see what's going on. And I can do it in such a way where maybe I can believe sources. Some people would say I can really believe this Al Jazeera network over NBC. It doesn't really matter. It's really how you actually want to engage it yourself and how the algorithm can actually work for you instead of against you. And so this is live. It is functioning. It's just shy of 40 million, so about 39 million folks that are there. It's got weird stuff from all over the world, from different walks and talks, and that's real similar to these other platforms. And you can shape it as to what content that you really want. So,
yeah, to tell you the truth, I played around with it. Actually, Becca and I played around with it, and we were actually very surprised to see that they actually offer sexual content. What else? Like all kinds of content that I don't know. I guess I just assumed that the purpose of being on this platform was that it would be clean and respectful, and but apparently you can choose to have all kinds of different.
You got it, and that's exactly why this digital world content policy is important and should be passed. This is actually, I think we're 45 days issued on this, so we have another 45 days to provide feedback. But that's what this element would actually help to limit. Getting a little bit of feedback
Who
there.
else needs to provide feedback to that 45 days? I'm just like, should we just be saying no?
Yeah, well, that's what this is saying. This is saying that there's really none and push it back. So you can kind of see some of these sensitive topics, sexual discussion, adult theming. So, yeah. And it's another part of it. We talked about the freedom side of it. This is actually digs into that as well. We've got to be accountable and responsible as individuals, as families, as communities, to be able to create this type of environment that's by the people, for the people, without violating freedom of speech too. So if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. I was just
The other side of it is the ability to have devices or applications, getting some weird feedback, devices or applications that are actually, there we go, that are actually child safe. So the age of the child can actually be determined based upon how they interact within the digital world. So if someone can log in with a bank account, either they are a guardian or they have a guardian, and that would actually put them within an environment that they could actually access certain things. So there's elements of how this child safety stuff, what can actually be implemented, but with caring about privacy at the same standpoint. So you're not doing a bio scan of the face. You're not doing an identity upload. Maybe you've done an identity and it's endorsed somewhere else, and that can actually transfer in. So this is something that's been going on for 15 plus years, and there's really no solid solutions out there. But the goal is to be able to build guardianship and identity and safety online. I don't know if you're familiar with the history of this, but we've been fighting these types of issues for decades and decades now. The state of Utah has also been very involved in it, as well as some other folks. I know that Ralph Yarrow long ago, I think it was PC or CP80, which was is the top level domains. So it was .xxx. They tried to push everybody to. That failed. So there's been lots of attempts. The reality is the number one use case of the internet is actually sexually related pornography type content. And number two is actually genealogy and people connecting. But the reality is we've got to have that fine balance where people can actually engage online, but in a responsible way that provides protection for this next generation. And the exposure is not like what's happening within society or within schools. So you're spot on with that thought and that concern and some of the crazy stuff that goes through this. And that's why it's really important to make sure that it's thought through and it's verified, so to speak. And then it's also policed. So there's actually that. I think that's one of the blessings of technology that will actually help us in the future is around that, the ability for technology to actually intelligently do it with us. And you're going to see laws that'll get enacted in other countries that will basically force it. So if you do not verify your age, you actually can't get into certain things, or you get blocked from other things, or if there's content on your phone or how you're accessing things, they can actually sniff it before it goes into encrypted channels. That's something that's trying to be passed through Europe right now, as a matter of fact. And yeah, so a lot of moving parts.
Okay,
a
Michael,
lot to be done.
I just have one other question, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for
This actually happened to me this week. What would your advice be for those people that are looking to secure some of their domains to stop email spoofing?
Okay. You're getting a bunch of feedback, but I'll go ahead and repeat that. What is the solution to secure domains as well as email spoofing? So within a domain, a top level domain like www.abc.com, that's a domain. The www versus a CNAME or an A record or an MX record. An MX record is actually where the mail is routed and handling. I personally see an automated system within the digital world where people can say, I want to register this domain, I want to build this website, and within 3 sentences, all of it can actually be done and actually pushed up. The other side of it is that website.
Michael, you just froze for a minute, so we missed the most important part of what you were saying.
I don't know which part you missed, but basically, I was explaining how domains work and how top-level domains like abc.com has 3 parts to it: an A record, an MX record, CNAME record, and about as well as how email is. An MX record would tie that together. And I believe that no one needs to know all of that. AI or digital intelligence will actually in the future be a simple sentence of set up a website on this, registered by this, and the authority will actually be transferred from the individual to the actual digital intelligence, to the actual, in this case, the top level domain service provider, which the direct answer to your question, Becca, is Clear Center is one of many domain registrars. So we currently have, there's about 12,000 domains that we managed at one given time. And a lot like GoDaddy or Network Solutions, etc. But basically, I believe that it will get very automated based upon rights and security principles. An example is, if I'm an individual and I can actually verify who I am to digital intelligence, and then digital intelligence can work on my behalf, they can register a domain. You can see what's available. They can actually pay for it. They can actually renew it. And then within that, an MX record, like an email, can actually get built from it. So I believe that there will be secured email systems in the future that will be privatized instead of centralized. So a good example is back in the day before Google Mail started coming out, which was called Gmail in 2005 to 2006 and 7, I was actually involved in the helping and creating of it. Why? Because a board member for a company named DirectPoint that actually managed the centralized versions of it, which that's one of the reasons why we're so dedicated to the decentralized approaches. We saw how OST files and PST files with Exchange systems or POP systems or IMAP systems were basically being deployed and then centralized. So most everyone, I would say almost everyone on this call or that's listening, has either had a Gmail account, or even prior to that, it was like a Hotmail or AOL. But the point is you're using a centralized system. A lot of the artificial intelligence that I believe will have a massive future isn't just that of OpenAI or Anthropic, but it will be folks that actually had these systems of the past that leverage AI on it for the future. A good example is Google or Alphabet, and they will tie to Apple. And the combination of those will use one algorithm that will be centralized around how intelligence is basically managed. And why would I say that Google is actually going to leapfrog over the open AIs of the world? Well, they have the content. It's not just somebody asking questions and building out artificial intelligence that continues to help. They have the context and the history, decades and decades of mail, calendar, contacts, messages, texts, you name it. And as AI gets linked into these centralized systems of the past, they will be able to leapfrog over those of the future. I promise you, Google's not going to let the 70% drop of searches go over to artificial intelligence and just take it laying down. There's going to be a reality where Apple and Google come together, and the data that people have will literally be utilized in a way that could benefit humanity and could hurt humanity. I personally have a very positive perspective of digital intelligence or artificial intelligence as it actually gets rolled out, as long as it's done responsibly and with the individual being able to be private. And that's where the work with the digital world comes into play, is to enable the individuals an option to be able to be private. Because right now, it's really just one path. It's what the current systems are providing. But I believe that the laws that are being changed and the technologies that are enabled by those laws will actually provide a true path where humanity can actually choose. I want to set up this mail account, and I want to actually have it be validated, verified, and as an individual, I can actually do that. And then, all of the systems, including the intelligence systems, will basically be able to deploy that for and on my behalf as an individual. So I think that that's very powerful. And I think that the things that are starting to spoof things, because I believe the future will be around mathematically proven or cryptographically proven identity, whether it's from an individual to a device or to a web URL, like in a browser, or to an actual bot, whether that's an agent or a physical robot. I believe that the combination of math will actually verify this, and it will be a very beautiful future that's much more secure than it currently is today. So, including email. I also think that there's going to be some lists that will come out from that. Whereas if you're not on these lists, you will basically get left. But companies will say, you know what, we're tired of getting lumped in as spam. We're an important call that needs to be reached to a customer that's verified they're a customer, and we have the right to call them. And it automatically comes through as a very high level approved call, instead of just doing the opposite of what they're doing with spam. It's similar to what happened with the acquisition from Google with Postini in 2006, 2007, where there used to be a ton of spam, and then overnight it like all went away. I shouldn't say all, but a good majority of it, like 80 to 90% of it, went away. It's still too ridiculous, especially the phone calls and texts. It's just ridiculous. But I do see, as this mathematical identity system gets rolled out, which is what the digital world is really based on, I do see a beautiful future that's going to stop the noise. And email and texts and communication and calls are all going to get improved because of it. Because right now it's too much. I don't know about the listeners or the folks that are on here, but within the last 6 months, I would say that text message spam has gone up 700-800%. It's crazy. And there's going to be a solution to it, and we just need to work together and intelligently organize technology to enable us to do that. So does that make sense and answer your question, Becca?
Yeah, I mean, you went on a lot there, so thanks very much. I appreciate that. Towards the end, you definitely gave me my answer. Yeah, I mean, I guess as well, it's just like people are moving towards AI governance, and I think we just have to understand our environments a little bit more. And yeah, this week I was kind of like in the middle of trying to contain some of that stuff going on in the space, and I deal in very large quotes, so there is a lot of money moving around for significant projects that I work on. So yeah, it's good to know to be able to the best way to handle those things, especially when it comes from domains that people don't really understand. They don't understand how the functionalities of them work, and we have to be careful of the words that we use, because it wasn't a hack. No one was hacked. It was just someone had taken someone's information and they were basically portraying that they were them. And if it wasn't for the people that around me that actually I have a good relationship with, they would ring me and they would tell me, hey, I just got this email. It looks a bit strange. Can you have a look at it? And it was kind of at that point that we were able to help contain the situation. So yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah, verification and trust online it's going to get solved within this next decade in a very beautiful way. So
yeah, thanks, Michael.
Any other thoughts or comments, questions, observations? I thought we were going to have a record 3 minutes, but we're not now. So we're actually at the hour straight up. So if there's no other thoughts or comments, we'll go ahead and close. Thoughts or comments, observations, criticism, direction, guidance, prayers, anything anybody wants to offer? Okay. We'll go ahead and close out. We will see you all next week. We actually have some key meetings. We will be moving from Alaska down to North Dakota. So we hope to see everyone in a week from today there. And we'll talk to you soon. Much love and thanks for all that you do. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Michael.
Bye.